Okay, so right now we're going to talk about the teacher launch activity that we did to begin class, week 3, lesson 3. And what we were doing was function practice, and students went to their spots in the board and tried to do this on their own, and then we did a gallery walk around the classroom, and everybody got to see other students' work. And some of the things that we saw students write, they wrote here, and some people wrote step, and so here we have step 1, step 2, step 3. So they wrote step N, and I saw people write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then what we did here, some people wrote F of N, and a couple people wrote Y. Anyways, F parentheses N is, we've discussed this before, this is called function notation. And basically what we're saying is, when you plug in 1 into our function, this is the result we get. So first, from the pictures, on step 1, we have 2 squares. On step 2, we have 6 additional squares. We've got 8. On step 3, we have 6 additional squares. If you count this, we have 14. And one of the things that students noticed is that each new step we added 6. Okay, so and one of the things we also noticed, we needed to figure out what step 0 was going to be. So here, if we keep adding 6 to get the next one, then to get this value here, we need to, instead of adding 6, we need to subtract 6. So if I subtract 6 from 2, we're going to end up with -4. Okay, and so with this information, we're able to say that our starting point is -4, and that's always going to be the value when the step N is 0. And then our rate of change is the amount that it keeps increasing by. Our rate of change is 6. Okay, and so using this information, we can now write our function, and we would write it as F parentheses N, and so we write, using our rate of change, we can write it as 6n, and then with the starting point we write -4. And we can double check, does our function equation work? So let's see what the next one would be. So if we wanted to figure out what 4 would be, we could do F parentheses 4. This means we want to find out what the answer is going to be if n is 4. So now I'm going to write in 6, and then I'm going to plug 4 in place of n, and then -4. And then, so now I've got order of operations. I do 6 times 4, which is 24, and then -4 is going to give me 24 minus 4, that's going to give me 20. So now I can put this answer in here. So I'm going to put this answer here. We're going to put in 20. And let's see if that meets the pattern. If I add 6 to 14, am I going to get 20? It works. So this is my function. And this does not mean the variable f times the variable n. This is function notation. It has to be together. Okay. So, question, well, we need to figure out our function equation. Now we're going to use this function equation. What step number would have 68 squares? So if they're asking what's going to have 68 squares? We want to figure out, we're trying to figure out what value of n, question 2, we're trying to figure out what value of n gives 68. That's really what the question number 2 says. What value of n gives 68? So we're trying to find n, and I'm going to replace f parentheses n with 68. So now I'm going to rewrite this here as 68 equals 6n minus 4. And so like I said, I replaced f of n with 68. And now we're going to solve for n. So step 1, since this is 6n minus 4, to get the 4 over here, I'm going to have to add 4 on both sides of the equation. So if I do that, that's going to make this cancel out, because negative 4 and positive 4, that's going to make that go away. And now I've got 68 minus 4, I'm going to have 64 equals 6n. What did I do wrong? Dun, dun, dun. I'm supposed to add 4 on both sides. Oopsies. So it's not 64. We're adding 4 on both sides of the equation. 68 plus 4 gives me 72. So I have 72 equals 6n. And now the next step here is we're going to divide both sides by, guess what? We're trying to solve for n. We're going to divide both sides by 6. And then we get n equals 12. And basically, if I plugged 12 in place of n, we would get 68 squares. You should put this in your notes if you want to have this in there. And remember that notes are allowed during the test. And if the more careful your notes are, the better and easier the test will be.